Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know, I look crazy. You're probably like, what's with the band-aids? What do you think you are, Nelly? No. We're not trying to be Nelly. This is not a look. I don't have tape, and I'm about to do my makeup as I talk to you guys. It's gonna be really hard to do my makeup while I talk to you guys. So I'm gonna try. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Hey guys, we're back, and I decided to do my makeup off camera because it was really hard to talk to you guys and do that at the same time. I don't know if you guys knew this, but multitasking is not real, so yeah. Anyway, diving into this video, I don't want to make it long or emotional, but I wanted to talk about Heartbreak this year because really, if you Google heartbreak, it just means severe distress, and the situation that I got in at the beginning of this year was that. And I think the reason why it was so stressful for me was really the two lessons in this was don't settle and communicate. Now, we're all adults here. We know communication is huge, but do you communicate with yourself? Do you talk to yourself? And I don't mean talk at yourself. Don't like be like, bitch, you're stupid for doing that, or you know, he's great, stay with him. It's more like, okay, let's talk, me and you. And I think that was my biggest flaw in the situation. I really belittled myself to meet the standards, and this situation, the standards were so low compared to my maturity level, and that's where I decided, you know, I got to a point where I decided I wasn't going to settle anymore. And this guy, honestly, we're friends, we still communicate. He's a subscriber and he's part of the notification squad, and I think you should be too, but whether he's gonna watch this or not, I don't know. I want to talk about it because my channel is about being real and honest, and hopefully you guys can learn something from my situations if you're younger or even older and are having a hard time with relationships. And
my dogs are in the background, so there's that. Shut up, Mason. Thank you.
Anyway, I just want you guys to learn about my situation and hope that you get something out of it, because I've been told that I am a weird being. I am different. My perspective is different. I am always constantly trying to grow and learn and meet new people so I can just catch a different vibe, because maybe how I think in the moment really isn't going to benefit me 5-10 years from now. So I'm always trying to constantly learn, and I know that I've been hurt and it sucks being hurt, but I will never ever fall out of love with love. I will never blame love. We do things out of love or out of fear, and the situation that I went through, it got to a point where I was running off love, and I took the wrong turn, and it pointed me, or it made me go the fear route. Again, I made myself feel so little just to meet the standard, because I felt like expectations were too high and standards were too low. I don't want to make it sound like it was the guy's fault. It wasn't his fault. It was my fault. And I went into the situation knowing that it wasn't really going to be a situation, because he isn't what I need. And if you're not what I need, you're not what I want. So it was tough for me, because I stepped out of my comfort zone to try to make it work, and I didn't feel like it was the right thing to do, because I was constantly trying to figure out what he needed and how I could adjust myself for his needs, and it wasn't coming back in return. And I also felt like I don't know the concept of mistletoes, but I do know if you put one over somebody's head, you have to kiss them, right? Well, I felt like I constantly had this like cursed mistletoe over my head with, you know, me needing to pay him back for the things he did for me. Constantly feeling that way. I think that's a horrible feeling. That's probably the worst feeling I had that whole situation, because I am who I am. I am a caring person. I grew up Catholic. I'm not a Catholic anymore, but I learned during those years of Catholicism, like, we're here to serve others. And you put others before yourself, and you serve others, and that's it. And I always constantly try to make sure that I'm there for somebody. I care for you. I will do anything for you. And I'm going to link down below a video that I watched. This Christian talks about the one and how he thinks it's there's no such thing as a one. And at the end he says there's no such thing as a one. You can only prepare yourself to be the one. And ever since I heard that, I'm constantly always trying to prepare myself for my future husband, because, or my partner, because I don't want to be the reason why somebody's happy, but I want to share happiness with you. Knowing what makes you happy, and we can do that together. Do things with one another instead of doing things for that person. I mean, you'll do things for somebody, but being able to find happiness within yourself and sharing that happiness. Not having to compromise every little thing to make sure this relationship works, because you know, I think that as an adult you're trying to create yourself, and you put so much work and labor into creating who you are, and you always should be constantly learning and growing. But for somebody to come into your life and make you feel like all that labor and all that effort into creating who you are didn't mean shit to them, that kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. And that was my realization. I realized, holy shit, like, I am trying to learn you and see if we can be a partnership, or be in partnership, but that means nothing to you. And I can honestly say this guy was a little bit more of a new age than I am. I'm a little bit more traditional and old school, and he was more new age, which makes sense why he would expect something from me, because, you know, nowadays it's a little bit more 50-50. You know, I pay for my lunch, you pay for yours, which is fine, but I still believe in gentlemen. So I don't expect you to be a certain way with me. It's just a standard, and it's always going to fall down to characteristic, to habits, to intentions, to values. And although I would rather much be alone than to be with somebody I'm always constantly like, all right, I love this, but you know, I have to compromise my time toward this particular thing that values and benefits my life, because he thinks I need to sit down and watch football with him, because, you know, football benefits all our lives. But whatever. You know, really, I'm always constantly trying to put my effort and time into things that value or that benefit my life. And with this man, I felt like our value system wasn't the same. He would do things for me and buy me things, which is totally cool. I think you should. But really, you can't buy somebody's love and time. You can't do it. And I felt like he thought, well, I will do this, and it's the thought that counts. But again, when you're constantly holding it over my head, the intention doesn't come off like that. It doesn't come off like, oh, he thought about me, so he bought me, you know, this and that. I don't have the things he bought me at that time, because me having those things didn't reflect love. It reflected fear, and I just didn't want them, so I gave them back. But really what did it for me in the relationship, what caused me to completely just shut it down, was a really petty lie. And a lie is a lie is a lie, guys. White or black or purple or little or big, it's a lie. And I'm not going to do it. So that really caused me to kind of just think like, holy shit, like I'm constantly giving you me and who I am and the way that I love, and I've done things for him too, and I'm not here to kind of throw it over anybody's head, but I am who I am, and I'm not being reimbursed with the same type of love. I really didn't feel that way, and it's not fair. I want to be able to be in a partnership where I don't have to think about my action. Like, what is he going to feel about this? Is he going to think I'm crazy? Is he going to think I'm weird? Is he going to think that, it's stupid or whatever? I definitely believe that you can have relationships with the opposite sex and it not be more than what it is, and have a decent partnership with somebody else. And why I bring that up is I don't want to have to deal with people running off their fears, running off of insecurities, running off of emotion, and it's really just your own emotion. You're not thinking about this other person's actions and what their intentions behind them. And I constantly felt like I was fighting for myself, defending my beliefs, defending my standards. And I know that we should do things in the moment. I don't think that I wasted my time with this situation. I lowered my own vibrations because maturity-wise, I was at a certain level and he was at a different level, and it just wasn't vibing. It just wasn't flowing the way it should have flowed. And communication with myself, I think it was always a constant battle with, but what if? Coulda, woulda, shoulda. No. If you feel a certain particular way and the other person isn't willing to just listen and be like, okay, I see that benefits you in this certain way and that's really important to you, then okay, I'm gonna go ahead and look past it, and if it doesn't affect them, there shouldn't be an issue. I'm a more rational, logical person. Loyalty to me, definitely loyalty has its reputation and its own standard, society's standard. But to me is, if we've been together for 20 years and it's come to a point where we no longer benefit each other, I'm gonna move forward. I should be able to let go of a situation. Loyalty has nothing to do with it. Kind of like, the story of Twilight. Bella had her relationship with Jacob, and she had a relationship with Edward. We all know who she ended up with, and we also know that she had a particular emotional bond with Jacob. Edward understood it. He didn't like it. He didn't have to like it. He did what he had to do to make sure Bella felt Bella was an asset, regardless of what Bella had to do to be Bella. He loved her the way that the situation was, even though it sucked for him. And in our eyes, like, oh hell no, like if my girlfriend had a best friend that was a guy and they kissed and all this other shit, whatever. But the whole, I mean, go watch some freaking movies. You guys will get it. And I think it's a freaking great love story. It's very mythical. Mythical? Yeah. Fictional. Not real. But that is, for me, like, the best way to explain a situation. Like, somebody shouldn't have to go out of the way to make sure that you're okay with who they are. You should just accept me for who I am. And it's not really about what you think, like, if you think that's the wrong way of being, that's not for you to decide. If you're trying to be my partner, you need to understand that it is what it is, and I'm going to communicate that with you, and I'm going to make sure that I, in return, accept you for who you are. And I hope that makes sense, guys. I'm not, the biggest thing I could really say for you guys is just be real with you, and always try to constantly learn who you are trying to become and what values your life. People are going to come in and out of your life all the time, and never ever ever blame love for other people's actions. If he loved me, he wouldn't do that. Well, maybe he does love you, but he has other shit going on, or she has other shit going on in her head that she needs to deal with. And I've heard more success stories with people that are open than people that have been together for 40 years and have to try to constantly fit this, like, standard that society had put out there. And times have changed, and not everybody's going to think the same. And I'm excited for, like, the future and meeting more people and learning more things. God only knows what's gonna happen. So I hope this is entertaining enough for you to keep watching the whole way, and never give up on you. Never do it. Another thing I want to kind of say, people don't deserve to be mistreated for your bad habits. So if you're with somebody and you feel like, right now, this is who I am, and I don't know, I'm trying to think of the best analogy for this. I am who I am right now, and you're gonna have to deal with it. You don't have to deal with it. You don't deserve that. If it's a bad habit and they're going through it because of their past, or in that moment they think it's fine and it doesn't benefit you and it makes you feel like shit, you don't have to stay. You don't have to. Nobody deserves somebody at their best or their worst. Their worst. I keep doing this video and it always ends up being more than 15 minutes. So if you're still watching, thank you, and I hope you learned something from this. And you guys have yourself a wonderful weekend. Okay? Okay. Toodaloo. Bye, guys.